Welcome to another segment on Pep Talks, and today I cannot speak highly enough of this man, Anthony Lynch. Thank you for so much for giving up your time. I know you're the world's most busiest man. It's
Very
such an
good,
honor to
Peps.
have you here,
It's an honour to be here, mate.
and you're looking really smick for today. So I really want to make sure that we deliver today. But firstly, like all my guests, I want to make sure that I deliver a really good intro, just because this, in terms of what we're trying to achieve, in terms of podcast for us, is we're trying to make sure that we can showcase but also tell a story of those who are inspiring but also uplifting others. And today you're part of the segment around community, but also in sport, but also in business as well. So you kind of tap into all fields, but also what I love about you is just your presence around family and in how you carry yourself. So I'm really looking forward to diving deep about you, but also getting you guys to hear all about my man here. He also goes by the name of Plugger. We'll also be plugging in his amazing business that he runs here in Richmond. Goes by the name of Lynch Window Fashions, and we'll talk more about that as well. But to give you a bit of insight about this man, he's the director. He leads a business built on precision, trust, craftsmanship, where standards aren't just expected, they're lived daily. His approach to business goes beyond transactions, focusing on people, relationships, and long-term impactful within the community. And that's something I definitely back. I've got to meet so many of your employees, but also athletes who talk so much wonders about what you guys are running. And every word is exactly bang on about you guys. Now, but in terms of leadership, it wasn't just built in the boardroom, it's built on the field as well. As a proud VAFA competitor, can you tell me your club? It's St. Kevin's Old Boys. Anthony joins an elite group of players. Is there, six of you guys?
Yeah, I think you've done a bit more research on them. I think there's 6 who have done over the 250, yeah.
Yeah, that have obviously got to 250 senior games. And gosh, man, how's your body feeling?
Better after I see you, mate.
But I mean, like, to even achieve that milestone is actually amazing. I think for me in the senior level, I think I only got to about 60 games. So I guess to do 250 is insane. So we're looking forward to hearing more about that. But the milestone reflects more about the durability, where it represents loyalty, resilience, discipline, and the ability to show up when it matters most. Now, as a coach, he brings that same mindset to developing others. His philosophy is simple but powerful: building better humans, because people create strong teams, businesses, and families. As a father, business owner, and mentor, Plugger leads with a consistent message across every domain. Standards matter, people matter more, and leadership is earned through action. How about that?
That's beautiful, mate. Thank you so much.
Like, now to get things started, tell me, like, your journey spans from business, high level amateur sport, family. Where did leadership? Where did that start for you?
Yeah, firstly, thank you for having me and thank you for that beautiful introduction. It's lovely to sit back and listen, and I don't think anyone likes sort of hearing about themselves, but you delivered in such a beautiful way, so I appreciate your words.
No, thank you.
Leadership's interesting, Peps. I reckon that most people are probably born with it in some ways. I certainly think you can develop your leadership capability. I just feel like for me, if I look at my father, my grandfather, they were both leaders of men and their communities, respectively. So I think for me, it was more innate. And there was probably some signs early in my life that I had some sort of leadership capabilities. And then through your life journey of ups and downs and different challenges, like I think in moments, I had some challenges early, like through a family separation. And, when I look back at that time now, which is much easier to look back on, I think during those times, I probably got forced to find myself a bit, and I'm certainly proud of the way we navigated that, as kids. But there was probably some signs early that there was some innate leadership capability there, and as you get older and you become more aware of it, obviously there's a responsibility then to pass that on and deliver that to other people as well. So, yeah, as I said, I think probably mostly innate for me, but I believe I've developed over the years as well in that space.
So you're saying you said your father, grandfather as well?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what were some qualities that you saw in them that you obviously took?
Yeah.
Because I know family's massive for you.
Yeah, family's everything for me. There's no doubt about it. It's, for all the things we might discuss today, the family's number one by a long way. So, certainly, my grandfather on my father's side, he passed away when he was quite young, only 60, but, I certainly remember him well, and he had a big family of his own, a big Irish Catholic family, so plenty of kids. He was very much the leader of that family, but he was a leader of his Irish community, his local church, and then obviously through my own interaction watching my father, he was not too dissimilar. He was a football captain, then a coach, He led some big businesses. He was more of a corporate man than I am, obviously with a family business, but he had a successful career on and off footy fields, but also in the boardroom as well. So he's certainly been able to be a mentor and a role model for me. So I've got no doubt that my strengths in that space have come through probably my father and my grandfather.
Yeah, amazing. And so was there any certain behaviors that you saw in them that you still do today?
Yeah, well, I start with family being number one. I mean, I probably those values were instilled. And although I guess his relationship with my mother didn't transpire the same way that mine is, it didn't change the value of the family. Through that separation, the value of the family was always still very, very strong. The value of being a good father, a good husband, etc. So, and then from a business point of view, the way he led. He always made it very clear. I mean, he was, as I said, Irish Catholic family, a massive household, 12 kids, living in probably a 3-bedroom home in the outer suburbs. He come from nothing. He had nothing. So they have very humble beginnings. And he always taught me, you treat the guy who cleans the toilet with the same respect as the guy who runs the company. And that's something he instilled very early in me. One thing that everyone is equal and you show the respect to everyone. And I think that's something I've maintained and certainly I think has held me in good stead. It gives you the ability to connect with people because you don't see anyone as more important than the next person.
Yeah, no, I could definitely resonate with you, and I feel like my parents were pretty strict on, I wouldn't say strict, but they had a lot of emphasis around family first, and it was quite amazing how much the family values tied into everything that I did outside of that.
Sure.
And I guess it translated to team sports, but also being having ownership and accountability for myself, how to turn up and how to be present. And so, I definitely feel like similar to you, family. I feel like that's probably why you and I resonate and connect on so many phases.
No doubt.
Just because that's such a big bone in terms of how we operate. And I've definitely witnessed a lot of people that have kind of come into your life and how much of a support system you apply for them. You could tell that family. The family energy that you pass on to these guys, like some of the players that come from out of town, that I've seen you give them that same nurturing that, around caring, making them feel part of, something bigger than themselves.
Absolutely. And I take that responsibility really seriously. I think that, the footy component of the footy club or even the work component of work is only one element. I think that being a part of something greater than that is really important, and the ability to mentor and influence younger people. It's traditionally men. From that, I take that responsibility really seriously, Pep.
No, I love that. And I guess my other question here is, how do you find your leadership styles between family, being a family man, but also your team and then business? Do you find it quite different or very much the same?
I think it's quite similar. I think it needs to be because if you're moving, your style, your direction of message might change slightly. And I think that's the part of a good leader is understanding, I guess what makes each individual sort of tick and what motivates them. And the way that I deliver one message to one person in either the team, both work and or football, or even my 2 kids, right? The way that I deliver a message to my son, Max, will be different to the way I deliver it to my daughter, Tavira. So I think understanding the way to sort of get the most out of someone is really important. But I think my style would be consistent across all 3 parts of those, family, footy, and work.
Was there any moments that you can reflect that, like, you realize, how much of an impact you do have on people?
Oh, to be honest, like there's been many, and as I said, it's something I really value. If I'm trying to think about one specific moment, like it was probably when I retired from playing. So when I finished my playing career, obviously you get some beautiful messages and you get lots of well wishes, but there was probably a letter from one particular player who I'd had a lot to do with in mentoring him from the age of 18, and he just sent this. He just put down some incredible words, and he just spoke about the influence I'd had on him. Unfortunately, his father wasn't around, and I guess the role that I'd played in his life to that point was really significant, and I knew it was significant, but reading it was more than I had even thought, and it just made me stop and think, wow, this is what I do it for. This is my motivation, and it certainly made me want to continue to do what I do.
No, I love it. Now, speaking, obviously, you're talking about footy and that reflection. You obviously played 250 games. What did you get from that? Like, what did you learn about yourself in that, and I guess as a leader?
Lots, really. Like, I grew a lot through that time. First and foremost, I love the game. So
Yeah.
For me, I loved competing. I loved the ability to be a part of a group with a common cause to try and win or succeed in whatever that looks like. And it was probably because I was starved of success for so long in my career.
Yeah.
That I was still striving to win something, and so eventually, like I got to the age of 30 and had no success, and then by the age of 34, I had 3 premierships. So I guess there's multiple parts. The competitive nature, the community part really meant something to me. The social interaction, like when you leave the sporting club, whatever that looks like, it's very difficult to replace that community. Coaching's probably the second best thing, but most people, when they finish their sporting careers, they move on from it. So I just wanted it to last as long as I possibly could. And yeah, there's an element of durability in that. And, I wasn't very fast. I couldn't jump very high. So I didn't have a huge amount of soft tissue injuries, Pep. So I was able to play pretty regularly, but the 2 hours on a Saturday for me was the greatest part of the week.
Yeah.
It was the thing that I look forward to every week, and I just didn't want it to end. So I lasted as long as I could.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
As I was touching on about earlier, like I only got to about 50 or so premium games, but for you to get 250, what was it like on the back end? Like if you compare an older you versus the younger you, how, if you were to compare the differences, what did you take from the game for you as a human?
Well, I think I certainly enjoyed. I was very aware at the end that it was coming to an end. Over the last few years, not just the last 6 months. So I just made sure I enjoyed every minute, every training session I got to. I enjoyed. Because the reality is, it doesn't matter what level you're at. At some stage through the year, it's a challenge. You're leaving work to get to a training session. The weather goes inclement during the year. You might be sore, whatever it is. But I just thought this is going to end at some stage, and I just knew how much I loved it. So I really valued every session and every game, just thinking like at any stage, if I have one bad injury, this is over. So I think just the gratitude for being a part of it and not taking it for granted. And then also trying to really invest in younger people. I think I probably did it for a lot of the career, but certainly towards the end in my career, I understood I had the opportunity to have maximum impact. And again, I made sure I did.
Yeah. What an answer. That sounds like it's so well rehearsed. But I can definitely connect with that. I definitely feel when I knew that was my last year, reflecting back, I definitely changed my mindset around how can I be the best human to help support the team. And I probably played my best rugby ever because it was just the way I connected with people. I turned up a bit more thinking about us rather than I. And I think when you're in that competitive nature trying to fight for a position, you realize, you know what, I realized I wanted to enjoy my final year, and I definitely felt like that's probably where I knew that I could be a really good leader, because I was connecting up with players outside of rugby, and I started to enjoy the game more because you started to see that, man, having good connections with people translates to the field. And I got to see how important, and I was like, on reflection again, it made me realize, man, I should have been doing this earlier on in my career.
Yeah, I think it's a great life lesson, and I try to instill this into younger people, but it is really one I think you have to learn on your own.
Yeah.
But the ability to invest in others and the reward you get from investing in others and seeing other people grow and have belief is far greater than anything you can ever achieve on your own.
Yeah.
But it's hard, and I can tell that to someone, but until they do it and then they realize that, when a player invests in a younger player, they teach them something, they watch them grow confidence. I mean, that feeling, as I said, in sport or in life is just as good as it gets. So once people make that realization, I think everything changes for them.
And this actually ties in with that. Like, you run a successful business, a family business, and this will go out to all the athletes that are out there. They're probably trying to transition into the real world, they call it. I mean, how much of those sporting attributes has translated to business?
Significant, I think. I mean, the team is everything for us. We're very fortunate in our business where every single person that's ever worked in our business over 15 years is connected to us in some way. So we're very fortunate that we haven't had to go to seek or to sort of cold call. Everyone's been invested in some way, whether that's guys I played footy with, guys I coach, partners of guys I've played with. So what that does is create this beautiful sort of family environment in a small business. But no doubt the best traits that I learned from sport are absolutely transferable into business. But that team first attitude where we all protect each other and support each other. We celebrate each other as well. I think it's really important in a business because everyone plays a different role. It's important that we all celebrate each other's wins and we don't sort of have any negative feeling the fact that someone else in the business is doing well. That harmony concept is one that we're really big on. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of transferable
Yeah.
skills and traits, I would think.
Is there a particular standard that you look for in people in your surrounding?
Just in general?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I think always, for me, it's always like character first. I think character is everything. Whether it's a footballer or someone in the workplace, like we can always teach them the skills.
Yeah.
But if they've got a character flaw or a work ethic flaw, like I think work ethic's really important. But I think integrity and high moral compass is something I value a lot. It's going to be difficult for us to work with someone and teach them the skills if they lack in that position.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the same with us. People always ask me, how do you find a really effective practitioner?
Yeah.
And I look for these three categories for us. There's obviously the literature or education, whatever. And then there's high urgency to make things happen, high urgency to be better, and then application.
Right.
So we would rather take high application, high urgency over low theory.
Yeah.
But in our industry, it's very high theory.
Yeah.
But those other two, they're very hard to find.
Yeah.
So that's kind of similar. So for us, that means it's people with integrity, people that think about us, we.
Yeah.
It's all about that team dynamics.
Right.
Because it's very hard to teach someone that's very, very insular.
That's right.
And it's all about I. Yeah. So we've got very, very similar things that we look for.
Right.
In terms of, you run a very funky business. Can you tell us about that?
Sure, yeah. So Lynch's Window Fashions is the business. I started it 15 years ago. So it's very much a family business. My wife, Bree, joined the company. She had her own successful business, and unfortunately COVID had a negative impact on that because it was in the event space, weddings and events, corporate events. So, she's a super smart woman herself. She's a CA qualified accountant. So I always hoped that one day she'd come over, but I think the unfortunate or fortunate reality of COVID for us was that she exited that events business and moved over. And to be honest, ever since she's joined, we've just gone to another level. So we're a high-end window furnishings business. So we supply high-end residential homes, hospitality venues. 15 years in, we've got to a stage where it is a really strong business, but you're only as good as your next effort, your next sale, your next interaction. We've worked incredibly hard to get it where it is, and we love where it's at. But in some ways we've got to work just as hard to keep it where it's at. Yeah.
And based on that, how do you go from leadership to coaching players versus your own team?
Yep.
So, for example, to putting the same kind of emphasis of winning with the business. How do you swap roles?
Well, I think it's important to have clarity on what the expectations are. Yep. So in both the coaching role and in the work role, is that as long as our team has clarity around what's expected, like what does the business stand for and what does the football team stand for, what are the non-negotiables, like what are the things that we value, where are we trying to excel? And so if you've got clear measurables for people to live up to and standards, then I think it sort of makes it quite easy to, I don't want to use the word police, but to hold people accountable to those. The thing is, we've got a motivated team. I mean, that to be honest, they drive the business as well. We're very fortunate. So we're very close with our crew, with our team. The partners, we're very much a family business, which I think maybe separates us from some of the other people in the industry where, we certainly have clear, measurable things that they all buy into. They understand our why, what our purpose is to be here. And if they're clear on that, it makes it really easy to deliver on them. Yeah.
And speaking of obviously culture, what do you guys do to build team dynamics, synergy? Anything particular that you guys kind of put a lot of emphasis on?
Like spending time together. So we all love our food. We're all food critics. Like we love going to nice restaurants. We love doing breakfast in the morning. Like team camaraderie is really big. Whether it's 10-pin bowling or going to a fine dining restaurant, or it's a quick breakfast as a team in the morning before we start the day. Those sorts of things are really important. And we bring for those who have partners within our business, we bring them along as well for the ride. I think it's really important that we want them to enjoy being together. And that's one thing that Bree and I are incredibly proud of, is that the amount of times we'll get photos from the team when they're all out together and we think, geez, we've missed the invite. We're not even there. But they enjoy spending time together. Yeah. They're each other's good friends. Yeah. We're really, really proud of what we've built. Yeah,
that's awesome. And in terms of your footy team, what do you guys, in terms of culture for this year? Yeah. Anything particular that you guys have changed this year compared to last year?
Not really. It's probably just there's been a little bit of a changing of the player personnel. So it's almost instilling in the new group maybe the foundations of not the history of the club, but the recent history, but also giving them some autonomy to create their own history. because we've had a successful sort of recent history, but this current group sort of hasn't really achieved anything yet. It's giving them the autonomy to want to write their own history and be successful in their own right, rather than living off their previous teammates who are now no longer at the club or retired. But really open communication is important. I've got a great group of leaders who we have very open communication. They want to be involved more in everything, which I love. Because there's always a risk as coaches, we keep things to ourselves, or we keep our frustrations to ourselves, or our positive thoughts.
Yeah.
And they've really driven that they want to be a part of the communications. When the coaches are frustrated or want change, they want to be a part of it. Equally, when we're celebrating things, they want to be a part of it. So we're in a really good sweet spot. We've got this great group of young men who want to be driving the direction of the club.
So how much has your coaching style changed over the last few years?
Probably a lot. Like, I'm actually a relatively new coach. Like, this is only my 5th season, so I'm just entering the 5th season now.
Yeah.
I won a premiership in my first year, so in some ways,
Started.
what a dream start, right? It's all downhill from there, right? But it was just a beautiful year, 2022, where we just had the perfect mix of players, coaches. You need a bit of luck in there as well. Yeah. Everything went to plan, and we're fortunate to win it. And look, we've continued to play finals every year since, but we haven't won one since. So if we're being really, if we're being really harsh, we failed for 3 years in a row, and I don't feel comfortable about that. So we're doing everything possible to be back winning premierships again. So I think my style is evolved, and I think you have to. You learn more from your failures than you do from your successes.
Yeah.
And continuing to give my coaches autonomy and trust. Like, I don't want to be a coach that's all my way. Like, I put a lot of trust into my assistant coaches. So yeah, I'm trying to continue to evolve as a coach and continue to be a good communicator, and from the mistakes I've made, which there'll be plenty, I learn from them. I'm not too pig-headed to say that I'm always right. I know that I don't have all the answers, and when I don't, I'll be honest about that.
Yeah. No, and I love that. And the fact is that you said that you're only 5 years in. That's really young for a coach. Yeah. Like, I've had the blessing to work with, obviously being in my industry, I've worked with so many coaches who've been in the game for like 20 years. Yeah. But you can see how rigid they are in their mental capacity. Like, they're very fixated. This is my style. This is how we do things. Yeah. And I've obviously got to observe you as a man, and I can see just from some of your players, you're very... You analyze the game, but also you're very reflective. Like, I could definitely tell that you're very keen to learn, keep changing things. Yeah. Where did that come from? Because it takes a lot of vulnerability to actually accept, okay, cool, we didn't do well this last season. What are things that we can do to be better? Because sometimes it's like you've got to take it on the chin that it wasn't your year.
That's right, yeah.
And it's like, I know that you have a lot of pride, and sometimes you just want to like throw something at someone, but it's just like you've got to hold composure. You've got to be a good leader. You can't show that you've got the person it's got anger management issues. Like, how do you keep it together?
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, well, I think your number one role in that space is you are a role model. Yep. So we talk about leadership, and I think leadership and role modeling go hand in hand. And sometimes role modeling is even a better word than leadership, because you've got a whole group of players, maybe supporters at the game, watching your behaviour. So I think it's really important to set a great example. And it's the old duck on water sometimes. Yeah. Sometimes under that, I'm incredibly frustrated, or I'm incredibly nervous, or whatever. But I think the ability to project and set a great example for your players is really something I take super seriously. Yeah. That doesn't mean that at the right time they need strong feedback. Yeah. Okay. And I think that, and I would generally do that in a private space. I'm not there to embarrass my players in front of the crowd or whatever. That will always be done in a private setting. Often it's one-on-one feedback, but I'll take that player away where no one else can see. Yeah. Because I'm not there to break them. I'm actually there to build them up. Yeah. But I think they learn from that strong feedback. Like, it's important that if they're a good character, they will learn it and will make them better because of it. Yeah. And I can resonate when I was a player, when I had a coach who actually, if I had a stink game, rather than blast me in front of the whole team, they'll catch me after and go, okay, how was the week? Yeah. Like, how was your week? How's everything going? Before it even gets to the game. Yeah, that's right. And so, like, it just hits different. Like, you realize because he'll automatically make you reflect back. Okay, did I even prepare well for this game? Yeah, and you realize, no, I didn't. So, so I can see that you have a style where it's really, really connection focused. Absolutely. I think that, sometimes I look at the players and I think they think they've let me down. Like, that's their body language. Yeah. Is that they feel like they've let me down, which of course it's never about me. It's about themselves. My job is to help them to deliver for themselves, not for me. Yeah. But that does make me feel proud in a sense that our relationship is so strong that their sense of letting me down, although it's not real, I'd rather that
Yeah.
than them sort of fearing me about to berate them in front of a group.
Yeah. I could definitely resonate with you again when you talked about people observing you, watching your behaviors, because I definitely feel obviously having the opportunity to run a clinic here, staff, when things don't go well, I've still got to hold composure.
Absolutely.
As much as it frustrates me internally, I have to kind of step back, reflect, be careful what I say, because people are watching.
That's right.
And so, and it's, the way you go about it, that's the best way to go as a leader. And I take my hat off to you because, it's not an easy job. And leadership, it's like one of those qualities where it's like, what you succeeded yesterday, well, today's a new day.
Yeah.
And that's the cool thing about leadership, right?
It is, yeah. And look, but and I've said this before, sometimes leadership is lonely.
Yeah.
It feels like when things are going well, and if I use the I can use both work and footy. Like when the business is going well, like the team's flying.
Yeah.
And when the business is not going well, it's on me. It's the same as a footy team. Like when the team's winning, the players are awesome. But when the team's losing, the coach has got no idea. So it can be a really lonely place.
Yeah.
And because I'm so passionate about both of those parts, is like I take the losses badly, both in work and in football. So. I think I've got pretty good perspective. A day or two, I realise the sun's going to come up the next day.
Yeah.
But I don't take those, like, when I say losses, whether it's a physical loss, like a win loss, or just a bad situation, I take that stuff really personally. But I think that's a reflection of how passionate I am and how much I invest.
Yeah.
If I didn't care about that stuff, I probably shouldn't be in the job.
Yeah. No, I feel you on that. Breaking that down, what when you're in your like moments where you've like been frustrated, say it's a game scenario, and when you're reflecting, how do you get yourself out?
Yeah. Well, I lean on the people close to me. So I've got some great coaches, people I'm really close with. I've got one more sort of senior person in that role who's an older friend of mine who used to captain me. He's a great coach in his own right. So he provides great sounding board. Believe it or not, Bree, whether I like it or not, every Saturday night, Bree wants to sit down and analyse the game with me when we get home. So that's a little more frustrating, but she's so passionate about it as well. But through conversation, like, cause I can go insular sometimes when I'm in that mindset, as in I just rather not talk about it. But conversations with one or two key people, and Bree being one of them, it sort of just helps me flush out the issues, and then generally by 24 hours later, I'm ready to get back to work and find solutions.
Yeah, that's so cool. So when you do you structure your days and how you're going to approach it, or are you good at just freestyling, coming in?
Yeah, I'm a bit of a freestyler. Yeah. So again, I'm probably I probably sort of make things up on the go a little bit. I mean, there's obviously from a business point of view, there's plans every day. We've got meetings we've got to attend. From a footy point of view, there's obviously training plans that we work on. But in terms of the emotional part, and like I'm happy to sort of I act on feel more than on statistics or on numbers, if that makes sense. I like to read a group and see like what's working, and if there's an opportunity to keep going on something, or if something's not working, I'll often coach by my eye.
Yeah. Now, speaking of coaching with your eye, you'll notice that you'll have a strong group where they don't need their hand held.
Yeah.
When you've got a group of players where they're still finding themselves, how do you navigate trying to keep them together without kind of making them feel like they need all the attention?
Well, that's probably where we're at right now, if I'm being honest. Like we've come from a very experienced group in 4 or 5 years ago to a bit of a newer, younger group, and guys who are trying to find their way right now. So we're probably in that position right now, and I think you've just got to invest more in those people. Like they just don't have the lived experiences of the guy who's played 50 to 100 games before. Even in the work sense, like there's guys who are now 4 or 5 years into their careers versus the guy who's literally started last week. You've got to hold his hand a bit more. You've got to get out on site with him and show him our way. You can't, I can't be critical of him because he's made a mistake in something that we haven't taught him. So that's where I do look back at ourselves and say, have we set this person up to succeed, or have we just thrown them into the deep end? And that's, again, in both footy and in work.
Well, speaking on that, from your experience, what separates those who have talent from those who actually perform consistently?
Preparation, care, investment. I just think that people for me, when you invest in anything, whatever a relationship, work, a job, a sporting team, like to me, when you invest with everything. You're not half in. If you're half in, it'll never work.
Yeah.
So I think that's the fundamental thing. Is I want to see people invested as much as I am.
Yeah.
And if they do that, they'll be successful
Yeah.
in some way. And it might take time, but that's a quality that you're going to stick at and work with them.
And it's interesting because you and I both share, gone into sport and then obviously running a business. Getting people to lean in sport is a lot more fun.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
Where business is very different because you got to wear, you got to navigate so many conflicts. Sometimes it's about money issues. It's about leadership.
Yeah.
It's like, it's wearing that leadership hat to make sure that, you can, ride through the storm together, but know that these guys have got a pathway.
That's right. Yeah. And look, the challenge for us is that because the reality is we're the owner of the businesses.
Yeah.
Like, how can we expect them to have the exact same investment as we have? It's probably unrealistic.
Yeah.
But how do we motivate them to make them feel and live like it is their business? And I think when you get to that stage, you're doing a really good job.
Yeah. Is there anything particular you've learned in business to really build on that?
Well, probably just what I spoke about before. I think it's really important to celebrate everyone. So if I give you an example in our business, because the last thing you want to do is like the sales team are going well.
Yeah.
But then you're not acknowledging the people who are making, who are spending the hours quoting the jobs.
Yeah.
The guys running the business behind the scenes, the guys organising, installations, the guys managing orders, the guys out on install on site. I mean, everyone is honestly equally as important because if one of those steps fails, the customer will have a bad experience.
Yeah.
So yes, when we get a nice big sale, we all want to celebrate it. But equally, when the boys do a fantastic installation, at the end of it, we got to celebrate it. When we win a big job, the first person we go to is the person who spent hours quoting and say thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for the work you did for that.
Yeah.
So I think it's really about genuinely celebrating, and if they know that they're valued, then I think that's where you get a great outcome.
Yeah, no, I love that. That's definitely something that we're always working on in our team, and we've got close to 40 staff now, and we've obviously separated, I wouldn't say separated, we've got a leadership team, and then we've got sub roles where we prioritize culture.
Yeah.
We've got culture and then we've got the clinical side. But we know that with the young team we put a lot of emphasis on the culture and trying to get everyone to feel like they're part of something that's a bit more than just being a practitioner.
Yeah.
And so, kind of like you, we try and celebrate the small things, knowing that, there's no I in this. You know, if someone wins, well, someone had to work hard to make sure that person got there.
That's right.
So we do try and reflect from a macro context that, it's your win is our win.
Yeah, that's great.
So getting to think like that. But, it's always a work on.
In the footy environment, like from a coaching point of view, it could be like a video review where rather than showing the guy who's just kicked a miraculous goal, you show a clip of someone who's run defensively to cover off for your man or someone who's put a shepherd or on so that you could get a benefit. I think if you celebrate those sorts of efforts, then everyone knows, God, that role is valued in this workplace and or sporting team.
Yeah. When you analyze games, how much do you analyze the week leading into the game? Before
preparation?
No, so say you're looking at a game review.
Yep. Before
Before you look at the game review, how much do you look at the week leading in?
As in to cross-reference, you mean?
Yeah, well, the reason why I ask is because back home, a lot of the top coaches, before they analyze the errors from the game, they'll start analyzing, reflecting on how the week went.
Yeah, sure.
So they'll talk to the leadership team. They'll go, cool, how did we prep on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday? Yeah. And then they'll start to realize, okay, we didn't actually prepare well for this game.
Yeah.
So they'll start nitpicking there before they even get to the game.
Yeah, it's a good way. Yeah, no, there's a little bit of that. You probably go back to your sessions, think did we train well? Is there a reason there was a poor performance?
Yeah.
Was there an obvious red flag that we didn't pick up? Was there a decision made from a selection point of view or a strategy point of view that we didn't get right? I think it's one of those ones. You try not to live too much in the past. I think it's probably more of an analysis for coaches more than including the players. Yeah. Because the unfortunate reality is if you get stuck in what happened last week, do you give yourself the best opportunity to be great the next week? Yeah.
No, I definitely been part of environments as a player where I've had coaches who are really good at dissecting leading in, and it was just amazing as a player coming in. It just allowed you to kind of work on behaviors because it allowed me to go into the next week knowing, cool, when I wake up on Monday, what are my priorities? Well, I've got to go training. What's my attitude like? And so, it's always making sure your attitude is in line to your long-term game.
Sure.
Because have you heard of the pyramid, the mental skills pyramid?
No.
So obviously at the top of the pyramid is let's just example, you want to be the best athlete.
Yep.
Well, what does it take to be the best athlete? Well, the first thing is attitude.
Yep.
And then and at the bottom of the pyramid, it's what does your week look like? And then with the bottom of the week, it's kind of what are the behaviors to get there?
Yeah, cool.
So it's it's a good way to kind of cipher,
okay,
great. you realize actually my week is too full. There's
Yep.
few things I've actually got to cut out.
Yeah, sure.
And then it changes your behaviors, and then your behaviors dictate your attitude.
Yeah.
And then you become greatness.
Yeah.
So rather than just say I want to be greatness, it's
Yeah.
like it's built up
Yeah.
behaviors.
No, I love that. I would love to look into that more, and especially with guys in our team, like they're either students or they're working, so they're not full-time professional athletes, so they have less time available to them. So if they're getting 2 or 3 decisions wrong in terms of what their week looks like, that could impact the way they perform.
Yeah, yeah. Now, speaking of coaching philosophy, you kind of answered this earlier on, but I want to put the question next to this answer for you, because this is actually a good one that will go famous.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you speak about building better humans first.
Yep.
What does that actually look like in a coaching environment?
Well, I think, and you're right, I did sort of touch on this before, but I think for me, the thing that genuinely keeps me coming back and wanting to coach is the opportunity to mentor young men.
Yep.
So I love the strategy part. I love the X's and the O's of the game. I love the thought of how do I prepare to beat this team on this given weekend. But there's no doubt the overwhelming sort of my purpose from a coaching point of view is mentoring and helping young men be better human beings.
Yeah.
And that probably comes from the back of, at some stage in my life/career, I had older players or coaches invest in me, and the significant impact that they had on me. I thought, wow, imagine if I could do this for others. And that's sort of where my head's at right now.
Yeah.
So I just think that I love seeing young guys improve in their football ability. I love giving them belief in themselves that they didn't have from a football point of view, but it makes me way happy to see them make great life decisions.
Yeah.
I like to see them, make good lifestyle decisions, good relationship decisions. That fills me with much more pride. And if I reference the letter I spoke to earlier when I finished the game, there was no reference to football.
Yeah.
It was about the impact that I'd had on that young man away from the football field.
Yeah.
And so that's what really drives me now.
Yeah.
To make sure that whenever my time finishes or their time finishes, that they are a better human being than when they started their journey with me.
Yeah. Well, I could definitely vouch for a lot of players that I've got to have the opportunity to work with that you've sent to me, and I've definitely seen your leadership qualities rub off on them. And I definitely see that the time you spend with them allows them to have that sense of you have such a standard of them to make sure they turn up, turn up as humans.
Yeah.
So that's obviously something you kind of hold as a priority, is to make sure that they're being accountable for themselves.
Absolutely, and I appreciate that. That makes me feel really great to hear that you've seen that, because that's a positive impact. I mean, to be honest, like most of these are great young men. They don't need a lot of change, but some of them don't have a mentor in their life. Some of them have lost their father or they're disconnected from their father. Some don't just have an obvious older friend in their life that can be that person who builds them up, but also holds them to an account if they're making poor life decisions. So I take that really seriously. Yeah.
You must feel pretty special knowing that you can fill that role as a leader, but like a father figure for these guys.
Yeah, I do, and I do feel really special. And we've spoken about this at a recent coffee where, it is a challenge sometimes because you can spread yourself too thin.
Yep.
And like I spoke about at the start, my family's number one, my wife and my 2 kids, my business, my football team. Sometimes people like you and I can open ourselves up to trying to fix everyone and mentor everyone. And you probably do have to be careful. It's something I'm really conscious of now, is opening new relationships and opening new doors. And I never want that to detract from my main role. But I think if you've got the opportunity to do it, it's hard to say no, right? Like if we're lucky enough to be the person that someone calls when they're in trouble and they need advice, it's very difficult to say no, isn't it?
Well, I have to say, as a leader, I definitely envy you. I definitely look up to you as a leader, like seeing the impact you've had on the players, like what you do for these guys. I won't go into too much detail, but just the support you give, it's definitely encouraged me to remember, if I can give when you can.
No, I appreciate it.
And so, like,
that's great feedback.
It's, you should definitely be running for mayor.
I don't know about that.
But I mean, like, this is why it's really important to hear your story, because this ties into leadership. Like you've definitely you probably think you haven't, but to a lot of people, you've definitely mastered the art of wearing the family hat, and obviously the business, but also as a coach. And it's awesome because like I said, I'm honored because I've got to see so many people in your sphere where you as a human is so highly regarded as the family guy.
I really appreciate it. That means a lot.
It's your family members will be really proud of you.
Absolutely, yeah. And look, they're a part of it. That's the reality. And as I said, I really appreciate that feedback. And you can't do it without them. Like to have Bree and the kids by my side in everything we do, both football and family and work. I just think that enables me to be at my best because they're a massive part of what we do.
Yeah. Now, speaking of leadership, my man, now across your career, this can be in both coaching, business, and as a father, when things didn't go to plan, you kind of touched on it earlier, but I wanted to frame the question with it.
Sure.
How did it shape, when you went through the lowest point, how did that shape you up as a leader?
Yeah, there's probably a couple of things. I think I spoke about the life example. That I just think that any challenging situation that someone faces in their life, you have two decisions. And maybe this is too simple, but I always think you can let that define you, and that also you allow it to make you or break you.
Yeah.
And there's no judgment, because for some people they handle those situations very poorly, especially a life thing, not a footy decision, but more of a life thing. So my decision very early, I remember as a 10 or 11-year-old thinking this will build me to be something, to be a great husband, a great father. Yeah. I will learn from the mistakes of my own parents, to be honest with you, to make sure that that I do everything in my power to value that above everything else. Yeah. And then from a footy point of view and a leadership point of view, I remember a clear example. It was in my year 12 year, and I was the captain of that team. And one of my really good mates, he was more of a fringe player at the time. Yeah. And we just had a training session. And at that stage of my life, footy was everything. Footy was life or death. And I learned a great lesson one day. It was during a training session, and I barreled him. I absolutely give it to him. Yeah. And he just walked off the track. He just looked at me, had tears in his eyes, and he walked off the track. And it was a really harsh lesson for me to learn. Yeah. And I ended up having to follow him all the way to the train station. And he didn't want to speak to me. But as we got to talk over the coming days, what I learned was he didn't value footy anywhere near as much as I did. He didn't even care about being in the first team. He just wanted to be there with his mates. So for me to sort of have such a harsh word about something footy related in front of him really broke him. And what it probably did to me is just realise, hey, just because you feel this way doesn't mean everyone else does. And that really opened my eyes to digging deeper into players, people, to say, what are they here for? Because if they're not here for the same reasons, you can't hold them to the same account as you. Yeah. That was a harsh lesson to learn, but a really valuable one, relatively early as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, definitely. Man, that's actually a really good one. Yeah. Because I find I still catch myself trying to give feedback, but in the wrong context. Yeah. Because I realize I haven't kind of broken the ice.
Yeah, that's right.
With them. Yeah. So what they deem as an important doesn't match mine. That's right. And because, I in my head, in my heart, I feel my standards are so high. Correct. But their standards are, yes, they're high to them, but we're just looking at a book from different ends. That's right, yeah. So if you haven't had that discussion to work out where you both sit, then it's not appropriate to be so critical of them. Yeah. How do you find doing that on scale? Because I find, yes, it's nice to have that when you've got all the time in the world, but when you've got 40 other people, how do you share your love energy across that? Yeah, I think that if you're talking about delivering that to a team of people, well, I think it's easier to deliver a message to a group. Do you know what I mean? That one example I spoke of was very targeted to that one person. Yeah. If you're delivering that strong feedback to a group, then the guy who's in that group who doesn't actually have the same level of passion, he doesn't get offended. Yeah. Because he's thinking, well, he's not talking about me because I don't really care that much. But the guys who are on the same level as you, they take that feedback really well. Yeah. But it does make it difficult, because the reality is, whether it's the coach or the business owner, I mean, everyone wants access to at some stage. They all want feedback. They want to know where they sit. They want to know how they can get better. And that becomes a challenge, because that is an individual one-on-one message. Yeah. So look, I'm probably very lucky that I have my own business, because it does give me flexibility during the week to spend more time talking to these guys. But it's not easy, Pep. It's not easy. You always feel like you're letting someone down along the way. Yeah. Is that how you feel as a leader? Yeah, I do. Absolutely. Yeah. And this is where I've got to get better, and I'm really aware, as long as it's not my family, I'm letting down. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? That's where there's probably been times where I have gone out after hours to meet with a player for dinner, or gone out, whatever. And as soon as that negatively impacts on my family, I've gone too far. Yeah. And I think I'm much better at that now than I've ever been. Yeah. No, I'm definitely with you on that. There's a time in your life where you've got to do that, but then sometimes you've got to go through that. That pain to actually learn from that. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And the other thing we spoke about really briefly was just about investing in people who do give back. Yeah. I cited an example which I don't need to repeat, but basically it was just a bit of a realization that you don't want to keep investing in people if you don't see it coming back in return. There's so many people who are desperate for your attention. Make sure they're the ones that are getting it, not the ones who aren't really that keen to get it. Yeah. No, I love it. And you can see that in your business as well. People over profit. Yep. So, you know that, when you invest in people, everything else starts to shine.
Absolutely.
And trying to influence that to other people to understand that, that's obviously something that I'm trying to follow your footstep as well. Now, speaking obviously community impact, you are such a well-known figure, name. Like your name always pops up with a lot
You're
of people.
embarrassing me now.
No, and that's not just because of this podcast, but, you know, like I see a lot of people in Richmond and, you know, just having the opportunity to be in healthcare, you know, people talk. And so, you know, your name comes up a lot and it's definitely in the circle of leadership. Now, because it's you, what you've achieved, you know, what are responsibilities you think leaders need to have in business as well as teams? What do you feel is really important at the moment?
Yeah, well, I think there's never been it's sort of, again, in some ways I'm reiterating what I've said before, but there's probably never been a more important time for people to have role models of good behaviour.
Yep.
So, and that can be a bit of a burden sometimes. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I do feel like I'm more aware of the way I behave in public, and to be honest, I'm nobody, but within my community, I feel like I've got a responsibility to behave in a certain way, because I want people to look at that as a positive role model, whether that's players, whether that's people I know, whether that's younger people. You know, I hold myself to a standard of behaviour. And so if you're in a position where you're lucky enough for people to be looking at you in any format, I think you take that really seriously, because our actions are potentially influencing the behaviour of someone else down the track. I would have had someone role model for me at some stage in my life and still do. So that's a positive impact on me. That's made me the man I am. So now my responsibility is to be able to try and filter that down. Yeah.
No, I feel you. And as you touched on earlier about role models, I definitely feel like my siblings, my brothers were big role models to me. You know, just showing work ethic, you know, working hard and don't take things for granted. And also being a leader. So I've learned from a young age that, you know, you get to wake up and decide that you are a leader, and, you know, having the opportunity to be better, but also help coach other people, that actually is just going to indirectly help you as well.
Absolutely.
So when you start to see that trade-off of like time to serve others, it comes back to you in tenfold.
And do you think that your experience with your own siblings then, does that give you a strong understanding of the influence you're having on others? Like if you're having the impact that they had on you, if you're doing that to other people, do you understand that?
Yeah, big time. And it's like kind of like what you touched on earlier, like, you know, respectfully, like, you know, I feel like I'm just a practitioner just trying to have a crack here in Melbourne. But, you know, when you're meeting people, you're representing your family. And so, you know, like you have a lot of pride of who you are, your family, you know, those who have gone before us. You're representing a lot of lineage. And so I feel like I carry that with me. So whenever anyone I meet, I try and make sure that if I'm meeting them, they're meeting my whole family behind me. So I feel that pride. And that's how I introduce myself. So that if I'm trying to be the human I am, I'm making sure that I'm always being the best version of myself.
No, I love that, mate. And it's so true. And that can come as a burden though, right? Like you use the word pride and I feel the same. But at stages that can feel like a burden. That can feel like a heavy weight to carry.
Oh, it's all the time, man. But, you know, that's leadership though. You know, and that's where, you know, you realize that we're supposed to live in a society where we're community driven, but, you know, the society that we live in is very individualistic thinking. It's all about me. I do this, you know, you do you, I do me. That's where the things are going. But community essence is like people need to be connected together. So that's kind of, for me, I'm more gravitated to those kinds of leaders, is because when one rises, we all rise. And you've touched on a lot of those things today. I find it very hard to find leaders who think we. You know, yes, I've got a lot of friends who think, cool, they've got everything they want, but they're not happy deep down. And so when you're serving others, you feel a sense of pride, but also you feel better about yourself. You know, you feel blessed to give. No, I
couldn't agree more. Can I just ask one quick question? How do you go then, knowing all of that, when you're the one who needs support?
Yeah, but I'm always learning. Like it's one of those things where every time you learn a new skill, you realize, okay, cool, I need to make sure that, you know, everyone around me I can uplift them as well. And it's just one of those things where I am pretty vulnerable as well. Like I do share my thoughts and feelings to those who are close to me. Probably my wife gets the majority of that. But in terms of have I mastered it? No, it's hard because not everyone needs to hear how I go through. And I'm very selective in terms of how I give my information because I'm very mindful of energy is contagious. Now, I'm not trying to dump all my crap on my wife, but she'll know if I'm not present. And she was always like, why are you not communicating properly?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, you don't really need to hear this.
Yeah.
And then she would just open up and I was like, oh, is that it?
Yeah.
But so, I'm still learning.
Yep.
And
I feel that the same, man. It's good, and we're lucky to have the wives that we do. That that given the roles that we play in our own communities, it's lovely to have that special person connected to us.
And so I'm with you, and I've got to meet your beautiful other half, and seeing you two together, it brings me such joy, man. You guys are definitely operating at a very unique capacity.
Yeah, we are.
And meeting all your guys' friends as well. You guys are definitely doing such great work, man. I guess we're coming close to an end of our show here.
Yeah.
Is there any advice and tips for other young businesses, business owners that you would give them with your experience?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the journey of business, like anyone who has a crack at business, I just have full respect for.
Yeah.
And it's not to say that the majority of people who don't go out on their own, that there's a negative on that. In some ways, I get why they wouldn't do it. It's more of a challenge to have a crack and go out on your own. There's plenty of reasons not to do it, but I think if you're internally motivated to work for yourself in any field, I just encourage you to have a crack. Yeah. Honestly, I think that you'd rather fail and go back to the safety net of a job, whether that's a corporate job or working for someone else. But the day I left the corporate world to become a business owner, I had no idea where that first sale was going to come from. But life changed overnight. There isn't a day since that I felt like I've got to go to work that day. Like you said, I feel like I'm now serving. I'm trying to build something for my family, but I'm serving my clients. It's just a mindset shift. And I think that if you're prepared the hardest part is to start, there's no doubt about it. But once you get into it, I reckon you just remove that umbilical cord, that safety net of that previous employer, and just have a crack. Like honestly, life is simple in some ways and complex in others. But I think if you get out there and you honestly have a crack, and if you're passionate about it, you surround yourself with good people. Like as I said, very lucky to have such amazing team as part of our business. They're friends. They work like it's their own business. And I always think, what's the worst possible outcome? Is that it doesn't work, and you go back to the safety of working for someone else, and that's fine.
Yeah.
But most people who get out and have a crack are going to be successful.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I can vouch on that. Like I definitely didn't come from business myself.
Yeah.
Kinematics was actually just a reflection of passion.
Yeah.
And it was just one of those things where one thing led to the other.
Yeah.
Like what you were touching on earlier, when your lovely wife joined you, Rach didn't even want to join us. She just could see that I was melting in admin and back end, that I had no idea what I was doing. But I learned pretty quick on the spot that, wow, we've got something special going here. It's time to really commit.
Yeah.
And I guess that's when it goes from one employee, you realize, okay, I've got to really level up.
Absolutely.
So yeah, definitely business is so complex. I've definitely learned over my years. Like we're coming into 10 years this year.
Wow, congrats, mate.
That's thank you. And what I can say is that I've had to really upskill myself from a financial point, but also just the literacy around business navigating. Like there's no textbook can actually teach you what you actually experience, because especially we're in a people industry like you're serving people, so it's understanding what the community wants. And I guess what I've learned in my last 10 years being in Richmond, such a close-knit community, I've learned, man, the more you serve into others, the more comes back. And so I've definitely reconnected to the old school of culture, making time for people, getting to, learn more from people like yourself, because people need to hear stories. And that's why this whole podcast became a thing, because storytelling, passing on knowledge is really important, because it always comes back. So, I can't thank you enough for your time.
No, I appreciate
it's been
it,
amazing.
It's been a pleasure to sit with you. Every time we catch up, I think we leave each other feeling good. There's a lot of love between us, but I think, as you said, we're really aligned with our core values in what we do. So no, I'm so grateful to be here.
Thank you so much, man. And look, I'm looking forward to releasing this one. But please follow us, share. This is my man. If you want to check out the business as well, I'm going to put all the details here. I can't thank this man enough, and honestly, man, I wish you all the best for the rest of the year, especially for the season as well. Like I'm looking forward to following you guys, and I know that you as a coach will be doing whatever you can to make sure that you guys come victory. So God bless you, and thank you so much.
My pleasure, Peps. Thanks, brother. Cheers, man.
Awesome.